Okay, great. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of council of May 22nd. It being 3:30, I'll call the meeting to order. Any conflicts, council? Any concerns? We have a couple of items to consider amending the agenda. Councillor Toth, do you want to propose your amendment, please?
Thank you. I would like to add, I guess it'd be 4.2, wildfire conference attendance.
And I'm happy to second that. Okay, great. Any discussion on the amendment so all in favor of amending the agenda? Carried. To amending it? Okay, great. Councillor McLaughlin is opposed. The other one, council, just occurred to me, I think I'm correct. And so I would like to propose a motion that council send a letter to MLA Nicholas Simons expressing appreciation for his long years of service to our community. I believe I'm correct that he is taking a well-earned break and will be gone for some months. So I'd like us to discuss that as an agenda amendment. Okay, so that's a motion and a second for the agenda. So that'll be 4.3. All in favor? Great, thank you. Then we go back to voting on the agenda as amended. A mover and a seconder. Thank you. All in favor of the amended agenda? Opposed? Councillor McLaughlin is opposed. The motion carries. Without further ado, we will then go to item 4.1 and bring in our auditors from NMP. And I believe we have Mr. Vanderhorst is here with us.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor.
Good afternoon. Well, thanks for being, here, so to speak.
Yes, and thank you for inviting me to present to you. I also do have Gavin Reed with me today, one of our audit managers who worked on the district's audit. I'm hoping I've got the technology all sorted now. You can see my first slide. Perfect. Okay, thank you. Before I get started, a big thank you to the finance staff and staff throughout the district for going through the audit process with us. Again, this year, we definitely appreciate all the effort that they put into the audit. As in past years, I'll take you through a short presentation, talk about some financial statement highlights, and then talk about the audit and audit results as well. So diving right in, a reminder that the financial statements that you have in your council package today are what we call a consolidated basis. Throughout the year, you get staff reports and other things that might just look at sewer or capital or other various funds. We're bringing it all together, including the Sunshine Coast Community Forest subsidiary corporation that the district records as a net investment value there. So on the statement of financial position, at the end of 2023, this is what we used to call the balance sheet. You can see that the district has cash and investments of 38.6 million, up from 27.4 in the prior year. Cash and receivables and other financial assets total $49.1 million. Debt being carried by the district has increased about $1 million to $4.4 million. And total liabilities, so debt, accounts payable, the new asset retirement obligation liability that I'll talk to in a second, all those liabilities add up to $31.2 million at the end of the year. So you get at the end of the year what we call a net financial asset position. That's total financial assets of 49 million minus the total liabilities of 31 of $17.8 million. And so that has improved year over year for the district. Tangible capital assets, so that's all the infrastructure that you're managing, roads, water, sewer, equipment, buildings, has increased from 156 million to 168 million dollars. So the same amount of capital we'll see on when we look at the cash flow statement. There's over $12 million of capital spending throughout 2023 on various projects. But I'll remind you that is a historic cost. That is the cost to acquire or construct the capital assets over the entire life of the district. And then we depreciate that value for the usage. It is not a replacement value on those assets. That is a historic cost. An accumulated surplus at the end of the year of $186 million. I will get into what's in that number in a future slide. I mentioned that asset retirement obligation, a new liability for 2023. So the accounting standards put out a new standard on how to measure it, how to record it. These liabilities are now showing up on your books. The total at 2023 is $3.6 million. So 2.8 of that is an estimate for the septic site closure that is on leased land, and would have some significant remediation costs if that lease were to be ended. And then there's asbestos and other hazardous materials in other assets that you're managing, and that totals $749,000 of liability. So I want to clarify, this is not an estimate of something that you're paying next year or even the year after that. This is a long-term estimate of what the district will have to pay on all of the various assets that it owns that would have some sort of asset retirement or remediation to happen with them. This liability will change every year. We expect it to be a number that moves. We get changes in regulations from the Ministry of Environment or other regulators. That might add new liabilities on or take them off. Changes in cost estimates as you're refining plans, as you get closer to actually doing some of the remediation, you might find that you adjust the estimates there. And then inflation, the passage of time and the costs that are increasing for various project work might increase the liability as well. So, don't be surprised if this number gets bigger or smaller next year. It's going to be a living, breathing number on your financial statements. The statement of operations, so the activity level for the year for 2023 for the district, $36 million of funding and revenue and taxes, above the budgeted amount of 32.9, so significant increases there. Investment income had a significant increase with the interest rates being up. All the communities that we work with had significant gains in their investment income. And in addition, in the spring of 2023, you received the Growing Communities Fund grant from the province. That was also a significant amount that would not have been anticipated in the budget. So that's the two main reasons why there's more revenue than you'd initially budgeted. On the expense side of things, $22.4 million of expenses, up from the prior year, as you would expect with inflation, but below budget, the $24.9 million of budget expenses and only 22.4 spent. And at the end of the year, an accounting surplus of $14 million. And I want to really stress that that's an accounting surplus of $14 million. There are a lot of adjustments of things that we do with moving deferred revenues around, and it does not include a couple significant things that we'll see on the cash flow statement. So out of that $14 million, it does not include the $12 million of capital spending and the debt repayments in that number. So because of all those adjustments, I like to look here at the cash flow statements, what actually happened in the main bank accounts. And you can see here, regular operations throughout the year brought in $22.3 million. Again, significant levels of grant funding coming in 2023 that caused that increase from 2022. $12 million of capital project spending, almost double the prior year's level of capital projects and various projects, 3 or 4 significant ones throughout the year. $275,000 of money moved out of investments and dividends and into the main bank accounts. Some new debt incurred for the capital projects, $1.8 million of new debt, and then repayment of your scheduled long-term debt of $825,000. So the main bank accounts had a net cash inflow of $11.2 million, a significant amount of that increase being grant funding and things that will be used for future projects. I promised that I'd explain what's in that accumulated surplus number, $186 million at the end of the year. The biggest number at the top is what we call the equity and tangible capital assets. So that's the value of the infrastructure and the assets that you're managing on the books minus the associated debt. That's not a cash value that you can use. Then the district has $10 million, $10.8 million set aside in statutory reserves. The value of your investment in Sunshine Coast Community Forest is $1.9 million. The general government fund has an $8.7 million surplus, and the sewer fund has a $4.6 million surplus. So switching gears then into the audit and the audit results, We are happy to be providing an unqualified or an unmodified opinion this year. That is auditor speak for a clean audit opinion. We are satisfied that the financial statements that I just went through in summary form, and you have full details in your council package. We're satisfied that they're presented fairly in all material respects in accordance with public sector accounting standards, and that's the appropriate standard for local government. We're ready to sign the report after council approval here today, and a couple wrap-up final completion items that we always have right around the year, right around the end of the audit. When we're performing our audit, we're looking at controls in place to ensure you're getting accurate financial reporting. We look at how are they designed, are they implemented properly to safeguard your assets and cash accounts, ensure that the proper approvals and things are taking place. We don't test the effectiveness of the controls, so I'm not able to give you an opinion on operating effectiveness, but I can tell you they're designed and implemented appropriately from our perspective. And then to get comfort over the balances, we sample transactions and sample those year-end balances to get our former audit opinion. We don't look at every transaction. To do our audit, we use that fourth bullet there of materiality, and it's $1,250,000 for 2023 for the district. So we calculate that as a percentage of your annual revenue. That has increased from the prior year with an increase in funding and revenue and activity at the district. That number did move up. So we look at every transaction that's larger than that amount. That's usually big grants, the taxes, large capital projects, and then we sample transactions below that $1.25 million mark to get comfort. We didn't find any irregularities impacting the statements, any unusual transactions, illegal or questionable payments. We're not specifically looking for fraud, but if something came to our attention, I would be required to report it here to council. So I don't have anything to report. So that's a good news for the district. Again, a big thank you to staff in the finance department and throughout the district for helping us with the audit this year. And I think the last slide here is confirming our independence. So we didn't do any other projects or any other work with the district in 2023 that would impair my ability to give you an independent audit opinion. And that carries through all the way through to today, which would be the anticipated date of the audit report. So I'll stop there. And I'll turn off the screen share. I would be happy to answer any questions about audit process or the financial statements.
Great, thank you, Mr. Vanderhorst. Council, I guess, to start with. And we know we have a staff report as well, so Ms. Councilor Inkster, please.
Yeah, I'm not gonna, we'll probably go into it a little bit more. I know you had a number of questions that you may bring up. I just wanted to recognize the district and staff for having what I call a clean audit, and all the indications that came from the auditors that everything looks really good. And I just want to congratulate staff, and I have a couple of tweaks that some of the things we do that I'm going to be talking about over the next few months that I've already mentioned. But I think it looks really good and it bodes well for the district. So thanks to you and your staff. Or you, thanks.
Thank you. Other questions, folks? As Councilor Inkster mentioned, I did provide a few comments, some of which I think Mr. Vanderhorst has referenced. But I guess one, I'd like you to comment some more. I think the public often misunderstands the benefit of an audit and why you choose materiality. So kind of a two-part thing. I think I just heard you say you're basing it on a percentage of revenue now. Sorry, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So maybe I can offer you or ask you a two-part question. It changed quite a bit from last year. And also, I believe on page 54 of our audit package, or the agenda package, there's a different number referenced for materiality.
Okay.
1.25.
I apologize. We'll start at the back. I apologize. I don't have the reference for page 54 there. Maybe in our audit findings report. But to your first question of materiality and what it is, happy to elaborate there. First, the increase year over year is a function of two items, really. one, the increased activity, increased revenue, increased funding, which drives the activity at the district. So we use that. The other item in that increase is that every 5-10 years, we look out at the audit market. What are all the other major audit firms doing for materiality, for applying the rate, make sure we're staying in line. We were a little under what some of the other audit firms have been doing, so we did raise our allowable threshold there. It used to be 2 to 4%. We went to 3 to 5, and I believe the materiality, if you're trying to calculate, is somewhere around 4.5% for the district, which reflects our comfort level with the financial statements and with what your staff are preparing. Materiality as a concept is this idea that if you're making a decision, that's a threshold that would change it. At $1.25 million, would you make it, approve or deny a decision? The auditor functionally uses it to drive how much testing we do. So I have to look at everything at that $1.25 million mark, and underneath it, I'm going to generate a sample size and test depending on the population there. So, an example is payroll. Payroll is one of your biggest expenses. So we take the payroll, we calculate how many samples we're going to look at, and then we do a deep dive right down into each pay run and looking at individual people. So we're quite a bit down below the $1.25 million mark when we're testing some of those items. I do apologize. I'm going to see if I can find the reference of another amount.
It's page 6. I just looked at page 6 of your report to us.
Okay, thank you.
Because you referenced there a performance materiality. So again, this is for council's benefit and certainly the public. I just
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The performance materiality, so what we do is the $1.25 million is our overall materiality if we find something we disagree with management on. But to do our testing and to make sure that we're giving ourselves a bit of a buffer and not missing something, we do what we call performance materiality at 90% of that amount. And then it functionally means we test a little bit more to get a little bit more comfort over the balances. And that is that 1,125,000 number that is referenced on page 6.
Great, thank you. And since we're close to that, on page 7, it's titled Independence Communication.
Yes, and that one is issued separately. I will apologize. Last week, my administrative staff was sick and on leave, and so I put this one together. And so it was missed from this document, but it has been delivered to your staff, and it will be in the final package. It functionally states what I said in that last slide, that we didn't do any other projects that would impair our independence this year.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I know not everybody loves this stuff, and that's why I got out of it. But anything, council, anything else? I did ask staff, did we approve your appointment? Okay, good. All right, then council, we have a motion in front of us, and I think I'm correct that that motion should read not to be accepted, but actually to be approved as presented. Move second, as with the word approved, Councillor Toth? Yeah, thank you. Okay, seconded. Okay, any further discussion? I will call the question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Mr. Vanderhorst and Ms.
Mayor.
Yep, great. Nice to see you. Come and see us sometime.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks. All right, so without further ado, I guess we go to item 4.2. Is that right? Councillor Toth, do you want to?
Thank you.
Any background or?
Yeah, so I meant to bring this up as part of my council report last week, but the hours ran long and I'd completely forgot. Councillor Inkster and I are interested in attending a wildfire coexistence in BC symposium that's being put on at UBC Okanagan in Kelowna. It's from June 3rd to 5th. It's, literally, we invite the public to join us, and learn about the stark realities of societal, health, cultural, environmental, and economic costs of wildfire across British Columbia and the actions needed now. It's something that I think is important to our community, especially in light of the work that SCAF has been doing around emergency preparedness. And I know there's been some conversation and some questions about budget capacity to attend. And one of the things that Councillor Inkster pointed out to me was that he didn't attend LGLA in February. And so in actuality, the amount that he didn't spend by skipping LGLA pretty much covers both of us attending this conference. Thank you, Councillor Inkster. So, I've
So you're-
submitted a motion. I will read it as soon as I re-find it again. I've got a few tabs open here. So the motion would be that Councillor Inkster and Councillor Toth be approved to attend the 2024 Wildfire Coexistence in BC Solutions Symposium in Kelowna, BC, and that the expenses be funded from council's conference and travel budgets. I'd like to make that motion, please.
Okay, did you want to put a dollar limit? Upper, not to exceed, or?
We've got some numbers from
No, it's not
our
very much.
executive assistant. I'm not sure offhand whether they're exactly accurate or not yet.
We're
so-
not gonna find you're taking a private jet to Kelowna?
No.
Too bad. We could all go. Okay, is there a seconder for the motion as emailed to us? Seconded. Discussion? Councilor McLaughlin?
Yes, thank you. I'm opposed to this. I asked to go to the housing symposium, UBCM, and I was told there wasn't any extra money to do this, so I attended myself remotely. And so and I don't know how many other conferences Councillor Inkster has been to this year, other things. But, wildfire in the Okanagan is not really our specialty here. The emergency preparedness is done through the SCRD. Both these councillors have sit on the SCRD. Perhaps they could get funding from the SCRD as part of their role there. But I don't see really the fairness in saying, one councillor can't go because there's no money, and then now, oh, there's money and something, which I haven't seen really the details on this. This is the first I've heard anything on it. It can go to the Okanagan in June. So I'm just opposed. I think if there's money to be saved, it should be saved for the public, put towards emergency preparedness here locally or something like that instead of taking a trip to the Okanagan. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Inkster.
Yeah, of course, I think this is a good idea. I've been talking about it for a year and a half. I'm a little disappointed in how this is framed. If this conference was in Vancouver, hopefully more of us could go. I think its location is framed as something different than what it actually is. It's there because those areas are heavily affected by the wildfires. That's why it's positioned there. So that's the focus of this discussion. It seems with some, it's location, but it's actually just where the conference is, and the information will be good. And the council members that wanted to attend, I have a big interest, and I know Councillor Toth more recently does, because I think he realizes that it's a big concern in our community, and considering what SCAF did. So we will of course endeavor to bring back as much information we can to council and our community from that conference, as we always do. Thank you.
Very good. And I'd echo that Kelowna's actually central, because I know from speaking to other mayors from north to south to east to west, everybody's worried about this. So I think that's not the particular issue. Please, Councilor Rowe.
I just want to say that this whole topic has opened a bit of a larger conversation, I think, around the council budget. And I think we're going to be sort of being asked to address what that might look like for next year, and maybe do some future planning so that we know if there's budget, and maybe there's some conferences that we're not you know, even like this housing conference UPCM puts on every year, that's gonna happen every year. So I think we should budget for people to go for that. So, but my point is that I think we need a broader conversation on this. I agree with that. I'm in support of this as, this is, you know, we don't do windows. Yes, it's under the SCRD. But here we sit and I think we have a role in it, and SCAF has just put on this emergency preparedness thing. So I would like to, on the behalf of Councillor Toth and Inkster, dedicate some time at a future SCAF meeting for them to present what they bring back. I think that would be great. And look at Councillor Shepherd, he's going to mark you guys down on the calendar. Anyways, I am in support of this and in support of having a broader conversation about.
Very good.
Our budget.
Okay, thanks. I'd asked because I don't think the numbers are a lot, so, but anyways, Councillor Shepherd, please.
Yeah, I'm generally in support of this motion. As long as we're staying within the overall budget for 2024, and I'm sure we are going to. It would be nice if this is done for future requests, if the numbers come along with it, the estimated budget, so we see those as well. That'd be helpful. I'm also in support of further discussion on we're moving away from a system of set conferences that have been estimated by staff towards more flexibility. So I sort of take Councillor McLaughlin's point on this, and I think we should have more of an open, more freedom to attend different things. Again, as long as we're, our budget is generally contained and approved of beforehand. Thank you.
Very good. Councillor Toth?
Thank you. In terms of the cost, I do have a breakdown here. I just wanted to get some clarity before I spread it out, but whatever, here we are. So the conference itself, the attendance for the conference and the accommodation would be $566 per person. And then per diem per person would be $885 if we were each driving. I haven't confirmed this with Councillor Inkster yet, but I would be willing to carpool with him if he is. But so yeah, we're really looking at $1,500 per person, and the savings from LGLA was $2,400 for Councillor Inkster not attending. So thank you.
Thanks for the clarification. How about we call a question? All right.
Question.
Oh, Councillor Bell,
But-
you haven't had a chance to
but
speak.
you're first.
Go ahead. No, Councillor Bell.
Okay, thank you. Just through the chair. Excuse me. Thank you, big guy.
I thought it was.
You're huge. Okay, so I think just the one thing I want to say overall about the training and these conferences is this is such a critical area for us, and to have Councillor Toth and Councillor Inkster there is fantastic. But I think I'd also like to see. I still feel that there's still so much information out there that we're just not in sync in terms of what information is coming in, who's doing what. I know we're getting there. I know SCRD is playing a lead in emergency preparedness, but you know, there's just pieces out there. There's a lot of conferences happening. There's conversations with mayors in the province around this topic. Federally, there's topics around this. So I guess I just feel there's a lot out there, and somehow I'd like it to be brought forward. And I don't know how we do it, but we just maybe put it into a big pot and we say, okay, this is what we have right now. And we keep it, you know, as a priority as we move forward with what the
Okay.
plan is going to look like.
Great. Thank
Okay?
you. Yep,
Thank you.
I think we'd all agree with that. Would you like to add? Okay. Okay.
Say that.
Councillor Inkster?
Yeah, I'm okay
Please.
with you moving forward,
Mhm.
although I'd like to talk about the conference budgets eventually,
Yep.
but I'm okay with what you've said as,
Right.
let's vote on this. Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
All right. Is that okay? I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Councillor McLaughlin is opposed and the motion carries. Yes, so I think we'll move on. I know staff will perhaps provide us with a more, well, a report in our agenda soon about the different budget courses and stuff to address some of the, well, perhaps the lack of clarity. We're well under budget, it seems, despite a lot of people doing a lot of things. Item 4.3 is the, I guess, my motion to have authorization for send a letter of appreciation to MLA Nicholas Simons. Councillor Inkster, did you want to, oh, you're moving it. Oh, a question first, okay?
Yeah, just, moving.
Okay, okay, so
Yeah.
you're moving it?
Second.
Sure, second, yeah. go
Can
ahead.
can we all sign that letter?
Yeah.
Okay, great, thanks. I know you signed most of them, which is normal.
No, that's
Just
a
in
nice
this
touch.
case, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yep.
Thanks.
Great. Any discussion further? We'll rely on our staff to figure out some nice words and proper phrasing and, okay, all in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Then, council, if we could go, we'll go to item 5, which is a motion to go into closed session under 91 Charlie, Echo, Kilo, and Lima. Move seconded, all in favor? We are in, okay, great, motion carries. And so with that.